6 years. It was yourself, Michelle, asking for volunteers to go onto the trial. I'm completely honest, I didn't really have an expectation because I've never used anything like this before, just the normal finger prick testing and tracing my sugars that way. This was a complete game changer, really, having not used or trialed anything like this before. Having a real-time trace of my sugars and my time to be in my correct zone completely changed how I fueled myself, how I ate, how I exercised. I lost weight whilst on it because of those factors. And it saved me from actually suffering from quite a serious hypo, which was amazing. I think talking to yourself, Michelle, all of the only thing that was how long the app took to warm up. And obviously, because I was finger pricking just to check the calibration of it, it was taking a bit long. But having spoken to yourself, I know that that's something that will be sorted. So to be honest, no. After 2 days of wearing it, I actually forgot it was on my arm and felt great. Succeeded easily because I was so open to how it was going to change how I controlled and managed my diabetes. It changed every aspect of it, really, and superseded anything that I could have expected it to do. As I say, saved me from quite a serious hypo where my sugars dropped dramatically and rather quickly. And being able to look back over the historical data of how that came about helped me to prevent that going forwards as well. And just a real sort of competitive nature that I have got, trying to keep it in my zone, in my acceptable zone, almost became a daily game as much as anything. And having that real life feedback on an app ready to look at, that, you know, my phone is in my pocket every waking minute, it was absolutely fabulous and completely changed how I dealt with my diabetes. So it was absolutely brilliant. If I'm completely honest, I've found it really hard not having the app now and not carrying on with it. So whilst I was on it, in that short trial period, I almost became not dependent, but it just made everything so much easier because it was there at the touch of a button, and being so much more in control of what I was putting in, because there was clear feedback of what I was doing, you know, where I would normally have perhaps had something that really shouldn't, it stopped me from doing that, because it then made me feel guilty when I looked at it and I saw a spike in my sugars. So management whilst I was on the app, I found absolutely brilliant. Since coming off it, I've tried to carry on with that same method of everyday life, but found it hard not having the app, and perhaps slipped back a little bit into pre-app routines. So for me, it's highlighted that, you know, having that knowledge of what's happening at that precise moment in time just gave me all the power in the world over my diabetes. So I need it back. We're really happy because obviously it was making me conscious of my condition. You know, they constantly honoured me to look after myself. Obviously, I've got a responsibility to be here for them. And having diabetes at this age makes me feel like I've got to deal with it for a whole lot longer than if I'd come across or I was diabetic in my later years. So really, I need to get a hang of it now. And, you know, my family my children were constantly wanting to know what my sugars were. Now, before that, they didn't really understand what diabetes was, but actually having it on a physical graph that I could show them where my numbers were and trying to explain how what I put into my body and how I look after myself affects that directly. It was like having two full-time, staff looking over me. So they were really intrigued by the results it gave. So it was good. Definitely to do it, first of all. I've actually mentioned it to my father, who's type 2 diabetic as well. And I would just say, just use it as a guide, use it as knowledge is power in everything. And just having a grasp of exactly what's happening within your body and how that's affecting your sugars. I mean, I struggle to know whether I'm high or low because I get the same feeling both ways. And I think that seems quite common. So just to have that, quick look at your, put the app on, know how you're doing at that time, it made me be able to gauge myself, how I was feeling and how I was doing. And I would just say, just use it, just embrace it, and just live. Really, the technology is absolutely fabulous. So just try and keep within our zones, make it become a game almost. Not really. As I say, 2 days into the trial, I used to forget it was on my arm. The process of applying it just became second nature, just became very, very easy. I think the videos and the tuition that you'd done as to how to install it, how to care for it, look after it, and so on, were brilliant, very helpful. And I think just it's so easy to use once you've got your head around it. Some people may take longer, to get used to putting it on, dealing with it. As I say, I genuinely used to forget it was on my arm. I haven't got a single concern, Michelle. I really did try to find one, but no,